Hi friends, this will be your art challenge for the week of April 1st to the 15th. We will be focusing on composition. Composition is the arrangement or placement of the visual elements or objects in your artwork. You might consider this exactly the same as the layout of a piece. Composition is essentially the same thing. It's simply where the different parts of your piece actually end up on the page to create the whole. Most simply put, composition is where you put things. It is why this cottage is on the right side of this image and the bridge is on the left. For example, you might want to paint a picture of a dog and position the dog slightly off-center on the left side of the canvas. This is a compositional choice. Maybe you're drawing from observation and you arrange a still life of fruit on a table. The way you choose to arrange the fruit in your final piece is your composition. So why is composition important? Why are we even talking about it? Well, composition is important because it shapes the viewer's experience of the artwork. So when someone's looking at your artwork, based on your composition, they'll be able to understand what you were trying to say. Composition is a big part of what makes a piece eye-catching and dynamic, or calm and soothing, disorienting, or disturbing and shocking. When thinking about your composition, you want to pay attention to where you place things on the paper, your overall shapes. Remember in 5th grade when I taught you how to draw? You want to use that knowledge and apply that into your composition. How can I simplify my objects? Put that on the paper first and then add the detail. Looking at these two-dimensional art examples, you'll notice that they take an overall shape. The top left-hand corner has an S or a compound curve that's created from the river. The middle example is a boat that creates a cross with the horizon line. The triangle example on the right, it creates a triangle shape with the clouds and the trees. The bottom left-hand corner is a steelyard composition. This is your asymmetrical or off-balance composition. Then your radiating lines composition. This is great for creating visual movement. If you want someone to look somewhere, use radiating lines to give that object emphasis. Then you have your circle or your O composition created by the lake. Here's some more example of the ones I just talked about. Look at different pieces of artwork and how the composition affects the mood. Pieces like this with a symmetrical composition tend to feel very calming, while asymmetrical or off-balance pieces feel more dynamic. One part of the piece might have more going on than the other, giving more weight and more emphasis to the other side. Make a point to notice this when you look at art. Where is the focal point? Where does your eye go first? This piece has a strong focal point because of the contrast in color. If there's more than one focal point, how are both points laid out on the page? And how does this direct your eye? How does the composition affect the feeling of the piece? You'll quickly see why it's important to consider these things. Composition can also help with the visual movement in your art. It can help you tell the story. Now, when you start paying attention to composition in art, you'll notice some very popular arrangements that get used over and over again. The central focal point is most often used for portraits or for people of importance. This is an example of a central focal point. The rule of thirds is a compositional rule that helps you come up with the best composition. If you divide your paper into threes, vertically and horizontally, the areas in which the lines intersect is where you want to place a focal point, which is considered to be more interesting and moves the viewer's eyes around the page. This is an example of a more interesting rule of thirds focal point. There are 6 different ways that you can create the illusion of space in your composition. And you want to create this so that your artwork looks more three-dimensional on a two-dimensional surface. The first way is to overlap. The more things that you overlap, the more depth that you're going to create in your artwork. The second is your shading. If you create a light source, it'll make the object look as if it is three-dimensional. Number 3 is your placement. The higher the things are on the page, the further away that they are. The lower down they are, the closer they are to the viewer. Number 4 is the size of objects. If they're closer to the viewer, they should be larger. If they're further away, they should be smaller. Think of a pumpkin patch. When you're looking at the pumpkins that are really, really far away, they're very, very small. Number 5, value and focus. The things up front should be darker. They should be more in focus than the objects that are further away because they're harder to see. Number 6, linear perspective. That's also in correlation with size. As you create the illusion of depth, you want to make sure things are getting smaller as if they're going back towards a vanishing point. So when you're thinking about your art over the next couple of weeks, remember, composition is important. Where you put things matter. They help communicate your idea to the viewer. For your mini challenge this week, I would like you to draw the same drawing twice with 2 different compositions. The first one, I would like you to use the central focal point. The second composition, I want you to make your image more dynamic and try a rule of thirds focal point. So again, that's 2 small drawings, the same drawing with 2 different compositions, 1 central composition, 1 rule of thirds, and your drawing should be no larger than a note card. Don't forget to think about the 6 ways that you can create the illusion of space in your composition as well. You are going to submit 1 photo of both of your drawings in Canvas under Art Challenge number 1, Composition. This is a discussion post, which means everyone will see your work and you'll be able to like and comment on others.